Hello, 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 everybody. I hope you are doing well this evening. We are here on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday evening, March 15th, 2020. And we are going to do our monthly poll for March, guys. I haven't even checked on the winner yet, so that's something I'll do here while we're talking. As you can see, no camera. We've got baby with us in the room here. It's been tougher to get with you guys without being able to have Kalina a little closer and have baby up and around and all that good stuff. So we figured that a voice tonight would be fine. It would have taken us at least another hour to be here, and it's already 11 p.m. here in Michigan. So we figured we're just going to do it, guys. So hope all of you guys are good. I want to point out, too, for all of you who haven't got the Q&A form filled out for the monthly webinar, that's in the same link as the vote. It was published on the 10th of March, and the name of the post is called Vote Time and Q&A Form for the monthly webinar. So go there to get your link for the monthly webinar, and we're going to be checking up on a couple things. So actually, I'm going to open up two links. I already did. Yep.
I want to say something after you.
Yeah, so we're going to open up two links here, guys. First is going to be the poll that we're doing. We're going to have, it looks like, our extra channeling for what we're doing. We've got set up for you guys the extra channeling that we're doing this month, because last month the Q&A form failed to post on Patreon, was the extra guest entity, meaning that we're going to have an entity coming in, a random entity who will speak on a topic that could be any topic. So it looks like right now that's winning. 23 of you voted. 65% of you are saying extra guest entity. The other 35% are saying extra Q&A webinar. And none of you, 0% of you, chose the extra poll to choose the topic and to vote. And that's it. So it looks like we're going to either do the Q&A webinar, guys, or the extra guest entity. And the guest entity is ahead by quite a healthy margin. So if you haven't voted and you want something different than that, or if you want the extra guest entity and want to assure that that'll win, get in there and vote. The name of that post is Time to Square Away, our extra session for all of you. And that was posted on the 5th of March. So go ahead and check that post out, guys. And yeah, so it's looking like our poll, holy moly, when I checked this last time, this was definitely not the end result. Last time I checked, how do we facilitate the Q&A with your own higher selves? And that one was in the lead, but it looks like now we're doing 3 days of darkness and disappearing people. This is an interesting thing, actually, guys. And I'm going to reference the larger question here. And I'm going to give you guys just a minute of my own 2 cents on this, because during the question as it was asked, it was actually something that Treb had talked about at a different time, long ago, probably in some of the first videos that were ever put out.
Do you remember what it was called? I could look for it and try to...
No, I have no clue. I mean, it was literally scattered among... Right, it was scattered either in the old... It was either the old open forums or the radio shows in its early infancy, back when it was the Rob and George show and not just Enlightenment Evolution. No, I have no clue. It's either in that or the open forum, or it could be in a private session. Really, no way to find it. It's scattered, but I do remember, because this question came up multiple times with Treb and Aridif, or not Aridif. This was even way before Aridif came. We're talking like 2010, 2011. The date at that point was going to be 2012, and then another one in 2010, and another, a whole bunch. So anyway, let me give you guys reference. Those of you who aren't Aaron or who didn't read it.
I wanted to sneak in and say hi though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
Everybody.
just wanted to say hi and that I love you.
Hold on.
guys.
Let me get the microphone because I have no clue if they can even hear you at this point.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Could you hear her before I turn the mic to her, guys?
I'm trying to talk Rob into getting Zoom because I hear everybody raving about how awesome Zoom is and how easy it is.
Well, it's not just that.
So
It's not just about getting Zoom though. It's about getting the program that embeds into YouTube as a third party. Well, Zoom can't do that on its own. Zoom can be a third program party with a third party software and embed that.
I understand.
Right.
I know that told you that a couple years ago, but
well, no, this has just changed this recently. This is when we started having issues.
You still had that option. That option was still available.
Right, but back then Zoom was able to actually upload right into YouTube live and be able to, and now you have to run it through a completely different software to get it to be compatible with YouTube.
Yeah, but you still had options to run it through.
Yeah. It was the easiest option, actually. It was the better option.
Live streaming and stuff, just depending on what you wanted to do.
And they're going to be changing it on YouTube again anyway.
Casey's told us before that Zoom is really awesome, but you guys can always put in your 2 cents if you want us to try, because most of these places have these companies will do free trials. We could always kind of test run stuff and see how you guys like it too, because ultimately we want you guys to be able to have the best quality. And I know it's been a long time coming for us to upgrade the sound back to the way it was before. We had a golden heyday for those of you that have been around long enough. But we're trying to get into the 2 different offices, but we've had just such weird luck with the internet, and it's been crazy.
Weird luck's an understatement.
But we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, and can you guys hear Kalina too? I didn't have a chance to check. Let me check here.
Well, I want to ask
yes, they can hear you.
Back into
Perfect.
The subject, because I don't want you to lose the subject. You know how there's a big fat camera icon with a slash in the middle?
Yeah.
Do you have a way to upload your logo or something?
No, unfortunately, it does not. This is the new.
Really? Because I thought
if you turn your camera off,
I've seen other
done.
people, but maybe they didn't.
They're running it through the third-party software.
Gotcha.
Yep. Or if it's an older video, then it was that's what Google Hangouts did for the default. That's why on the older videos when we weren't doing video, you could actually see my face and your face through our picture icons. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. I think we were using Zoom when it was still in beta, and it was pretty good.
We were, yeah. We did well with it. We did several monthly webinars and several multi-channel events.
But yeah, guys, if you want, maybe we can do a test drive on it sometime. It would even be, I don't know that we would even have to put it through YouTube. We would just, what we used to do is have the private link, because we used to do all these online events before there even was a Patreon.
Yeah.
And you would have your own private link, so it's more,
To not do it through YouTube, though, means that we would have to register each person who has access to it, meaning new people, old people. It would be really rough. YouTube's really the only way that we could do it without making it public, unless they change some stuff. And we'll definitely check that out, because they have changed a lot of stuff so far that we do know of, let alone what we don't. So, yeah.
And any of you guys who are using Zoom, feel free to let us know.
Yeah, please
of course,
do, guys.
We don't want to take up all your time talking about
what we're going to do.
Technology.
Yeah, and I want to say hi to Casey. I see you here. Heather, hello. Cat W, hello. Easy Dean, hello. All you guys, it's wonderful to see. Cat W too, hello.
And let's see. Casey says you just give the Zoom line on Patreon like you give the YouTube link.
Okay. All right. And then we see William here. Hello, brother. How are you? Finn Castle Underground. That's William, guys.
Yay.
Yeah, so let me jump into this question specifically. This is the one that Aaron wrote, and this is the reason why this vote landed in the day it did, in the way it did.
And don't forget to tell them what you were going to share before we...
Well, that's what I was going to share is Aaron's... I'm going to read through Aaron's thing. Aaron says, can you please explain more about the 3 days of darkness? Brad Johnson has been told about from his angelic guides and people disappearing up to and during this event. It's predicted to happen in 2037 in this timeline. Also, I understand we are always shifting timelines. So what's the point in knowing this? Good question, all of those things. So the thing I wanted to share with you guys, let me get a little water first. My throat's a little dry here. The thing that from Treb a long time ago, this was brought up, said to have going to occur in 2010, in 2011, 2012, 13, 14. I didn't hear about it in 15 or 16. It popped up once shortly in 2017, and I haven't heard about it since then. And it was always predicted or told that this would occur. So the origin from this, I think, is biblical. In some part of the Bible, maybe Revelation, maybe something else, there's a part about 3 days of darkness where the sun will disappear. There will be no light in the sky. And even in some cases, that physical human bodies would also disappear. And this was asked to Treb several times in several ways. After the first 2 times that Treb was asked, and he said the same thing, I had already made up my mind on the whole situation. And what Treb said was that there are possibilities of that happening, but almost non-existent at those points, at least. And the reason why they were non-existent is because there's only a few reasons that the sun won't come up, that the sun won't rise. And being days of darkness could just mean cloud cover. And we get that like 200 days a year in Michigan. I mean, we live on a peninsula. And so that version of losing your sunlight is constant in some place in the world. England is one of them. Washington State is another. Rain is and cloud cover is such a big deal that it's like it dominates the entire yearly landscape. So basically, that kind is kind of irrelevant for this subject because, you know, it happens all the time anyway. The other kind is where the sun actually doesn't go above the horizon, and that is an issue that breaks the laws of physics. It says that the Earth will stop spinning, the sun will be knocked out of orbit, will be knocked out of sun's orbit, something like that. And again, if that happens, it's no longer going to be 3 days. We're going to have altering changes that are long and everlasting, and Earth would never be the same. We would take on a whole new collective of energy. The third is the magical power of the Earth collective energy manifesting just for whatever reason, the sun not coming up, or it being hidden behind something darker, heavier than clouds, where true blackness, like the blackest black of night times 10.
Would there be a meteorite or something?
Even that, no. I mean, it's not. It wouldn't be that unless the meteorite hits.
That's what I was thinking, like,
Things are
3 days
thrown
of
into the
darkness.
sky, right? But that if a meteorite hits, 3 days is not going to be. I mean, when that has happened on Earth and in many other planets, we're talking about sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years, and in rare cases, hundreds of years, where the atmospheric dust, dirt is so particleized in the air that sun cannot penetrate it.
Another question, could there be any planets where there's going to be eclipses, major eclipses that could be astrologically 3 days of darkness?
Well, that's the thing. The way a rotation works, that's impossible for that to happen too, because a lot of people thought that too for the first few times it hurt. So basically, my mind got made up the second time I heard it say that this is going to be a near impossible manifestation from the Earth Collective, and it tends to be like a lot of other things I see come up in our community. We get repetition of these ideas, and these ideas are put in the collective for a reason, of course. But there's a repetition of ideas, and when it's an idea that continuously fails to manifest, it means that either there's no purpose for it, or the purpose that it would have for it is not needed in our collective at that time. That's where I stood with it. So I said to myself, in my lifetime, I'll never see 3 days of darkness. No human on earth that's alive right now probably will ever see this 3 days of darkness the way it's described here. So personally, that's my own belief. That's my own interpretation. That's my own opinion. And it's important to say it because I actually used this example with someone when they were going over certain aspects of QAnon. We looked at another one when people were talking about Barack Obama back in the day being the savior of the earth. There was a whole radio show dedicated to that. I went through this with someone else about the instant ascension, where all the world instantly just starts flying around and starts magically not having any problems anymore. These are all ideas that, for whatever reason, stick in our community, and they go through and recycle. And that's why I always tell people these recycled ideas, it's not that they're bad. It's just, it's like someone new hears the old idea, brings it back into the public, whether it's a speaker, a presenter, a channeler, an influencer. Someone's putting it back in the collective and it gains traction again. A lot of the ones that we deal with, like the parts of the QAnon, a lot of people said there's a group in the government and they're good guys and they're taking down the cabal, underground, deep state, all the Illuminati that are bad, they're going down, all these things. But this was something that actually preceded my entering into this community, and was done so through Benjamin Fulford and done through people who were like Benjamin Fulford. I can't remember, there were a few of them. Cobra was the other one. These guys, before I ever even knew what channeling was, I did know a little bit about Illuminati, conspiracy theories, things like that. So I would hear the White Knights, and these people were taking down government, that the government would fall as we knew it, the financial system would fall as we knew it, and then things would change, like a whole new overnight system. And these people kept giving dates and times, and none of those ever came to fruition. So again, when you see this idea fail, and you see it go out into the collective and fail again, you create an assumption. I could be wrong for assuming a lot of the things I assume, because I'm a human.
What Treb said about it, though?
Well, Treb said about the white hats and all that stuff. They said, yes, there are good people who have large amounts of energy towards finances and power, and they work to go against those that suppress the rights, all that stuff. But regardless of what they do, how they do it, or what they do, it's a manifestation of the collective energy. So even if we have this great, powerful group that's in power and they're trying to get things done behind the scenes, if the collective's not ready to make the change, then no one's going to make the change no matter what they do. A lot of us have this hero praise that we have. Me and Kalina have talked about this on her radio show. This is why superhero movies are big. Kalina's always pointed that point out. Because we want to be saved.
We have a savior complex.
Yeah, we want to be saved, or want to save people. I mean, that's kind of built into our DNA. I mean, Alexander the Great, I'll save you all by conquering your lands. You know what I mean?
I also think there is a collective wounded child feeling abandoned by the parents kind of complex with the Anunnaki and the Elohim, all of the altering of our genetics to the point that we felt, a very deep connection with them. And then where did they go? It seemed like everything was gone. So it's like, I really feel we have this feeling of being abandoned, of being messed up. You go take a walk in the woods and almost every animal, even the predators, are terrified of you. Even the ones that can tear you apart, most of them are not going to mess with you. And why? They know something's off about you, literally alien about you.
Yeah.
So then you're cut off. You feel cut off from your, space brothers and sisters, for lack of better words. You feel cut off from your nature brothers and sisters, and then you've had religions come in and cut you off from the archetypal, for lack of better words, pagan gods, although pagan was an invented word as I'm understanding. And once you begin connecting, you start to see these archetypes. You start to see the archangels who are not connected. Well, we're all connected, but the original Earth archetypes before the we got literally star seeded that came down. So I think there's just been a mixture. It's almost like a space level MK Ultra, but we're getting spliced in the DNA, and we're confused. And then they tried to alter our DNA, and then we get controlled. And so when I hear also of things like when people talk about the 3 days of darkness, it's not that it isn't going to happen in some way. It may be symbolic for multiple things, but you also have to ask, when you hear that a lot in the media or wherever, who does it benefit and why? Because you also have to look through the propaganda. Is there propaganda behind this? You don't want to get paranoid about it,
right?
Because everything is being shown to you for a reason. Everything's always a mirror.
Yes.
Right? So, sorry, I didn't mean to
no.
go off on a tangent, but it's like Rob and I have discussions like this all the time. We kind of
and it's actually perfect.
Together.
What you just said is something that Heather said in the chat. And sorry, guys, I didn't see the chat.
I follow chat, by the way, because literally our baby, she saw me chatting with you guys. She saw the phone, got excited, and she is playing, I shit you not, a video game on the phone that's made for babies.
Yeah, it's great. So Heather said in chat, she said, do you think some of these ideas are meant to a distraction from our inner selves or human experience? Keep us from being fully grounded on Earth? I think absolutely. And that's just what Kalina just got done saying too. Propaganda. Yeah, that's why it's perfect resonance. Yeah. And hello, Chad. It's nice to have you here, brother. I did not see you in the chat. Thank you for being here. Wonderful, wonderful that you're here to join us tonight. And Casey, the Galactic travel channel is definitely correct. Usually on these nights, on the 15th, what we do, I'll start channeling here in a few minutes. Aridif Treb, mostly Aridif, usually on these nights, comes in, talks about the subject that you guys picked as a suggestion. Then everyone voted on them. The suggestion that wins goes up in front. And he talks about that in depth. And after he talks for anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes about the subject, Kalina will take, or Kalina then gives questions to him about the subject that we just talked about. Sometimes she takes them from the chat. More often she doesn't. Tonight she won't be because she doesn't have her phone or access to the chat.
Well, she might fall asleep.
Okay, if baby goes to sleep, then she'll have her phone back. But
I'm gonna make her a meal.
Yeah, so sometimes she'll see a question in the chat that's really relevant to the idea or energy. But yeah, so if you want to get in on the 30th, Chad, all you got to do is go to the previous Patreon post, and it's called, let me see, it's called Monthly In-Depth. No, that's not it either. All right, that's for the poll ideas. So it's a post that was posted on the 10th. And it was the post where the actual poll was on, and I'll tell you what that post is called. Anyway, after I give you the title, it's called Vote Time and Q&A Form for Monthly Webinar. You go to that one, the second link through there. When you read through it, it'll tell you which link is which. You go to that link, and then you send out one question for the Q&A, and then you can read kind of the standard way we do the questions. We always ask people to ask one question, not questions inside of questions. They can be personal questions, and you have to let us know who you want it to go to, like if you want Treb to answer it or Aridif to answer it. And so that's how we do that usually every month. So the link is there. I'm looking at it right here. And actually in the chat, I'll share this post link. Yeah, so once you're done checking this out, you can go to the second link and send in your question if you haven't got it sent yet. And if you do, no worries. That'll be great anyway. So welcome, brother. And we appreciate your presence here tonight. We appreciate all your guys' presence here tonight.
I wanted to say something. I'm still not super familiar with this 3 days of darkness.
Okay.
Does anybody know, is that for sure a reference from the Bible? I didn't grow up in a Christian household.
Very far from Christian household.
Very far, and this is going to sound offensive maybe to some of you, but every time I tried to read the I would start with the Old Testament.
It's a rough place to start.
I literally would throw the book every time and get infuriated because, if I used to tell people as a kid, if you sit still long enough and just feel the energy of God, which we're all part of, you can feel that love. And so it used to really upset me because I used to say very defiantly, why would I even want to, be doing this for a God that hates you and wants to kill you and has committed mass murder and definitely
ordered death of women and children.
It's really like, and again, I don't want to offend anybody here, and I certainly should respect you, but me and Yahweh just did not see eye to eye, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really stomach through it, although I think now that I'm older and an adult, I probably will read it.
Well, and Kalina's
kind of been cut apart. I think I might go into more of the Jewish line of things, because I think you'll get the bigger picture through that, because that's where the Bible was extracted and then chopped apart, and
right.
A few things added here and there.
And Kalina's also come to the belief and realization that Yahweh was probably one of the Anunnaki or the Elohim.
Started as one and then kind of branched out into
right, became their own omnipotent leader in their own eyes. Yeah.
What's interesting though, I felt the energy of whoever originally Yahweh was feel very, I don't want to say remorseful, because if you look up from the extreme highest vantage point, everything's done out of love and for the spiritual growth, right?
Right.
So, but when you drop down on that, it certainly doesn't seem to come from a loving place, does it? But
no.
I felt like this being has since kind of become more like a loving entity toward humanity and interested in the evolutionary growth. So I wouldn't be surprised that when there are people who do have a connection with Yahweh, might have a very sincere and beautiful relationship with whatever Yahweh is now, presently, in a non-linear speaking way. But when I say that, I don't mean like that Yahweh would be in the same experience or incarnation as moved on, maybe even into, whatever the next beyond is.
Kat W also gives us some insight in chat. She says, I think it was a prophecy that was given to the kids at the Virgin Mary sighting in Spain or Portugal years ago. It was later told to one of the popes.
Are they talking about the sun, that dark sun? What was it? I saw this on YouTube a couple weeks ago.
Well, that was the black sun, and that was...
There was a mass sighting of some kind.
Right, and that was the mother of the Virgin Mary, mother of Guadalupe, maybe.
The reason I know I usually am the one to ask the questions, but because I'm kind of ignorant to this, I mean, I can intuit what I can intuit, but just like how Treb and Ars, sometimes if someone says a word that doesn't quite reach your brain, you know what I mean? Like, they can't access exactly that, because it's translating through you as the receiver. So what I'm saying is I might actually need help tonight from the community to get the questions. So you guys feel free if you want to help me with, the questions. I'll certainly ask what I can, but if this is coming from, a Christian or a Judeo-Christian background, I'm not the best. I'm working on it. I really am trying to understand it more, but through the back door, so to speak. And when I get on my YouTube channel, it'll understand a little more about what
apparently you do have some insight to it, because Cat W saying that it was the thing that we watched, because she said that the sun did move on that sighting. And I think that was somewhere in the 1913s, 1920s, 1930s. It was real early 1900s.
I'm trying to remember what it
and it did happen. The sun bounced across the sky. What I think happened was a UFO probably lit the sky up brighter than the sun, so they couldn't see the sun, opposed to the brightness of the UFO.
Possibility there's some planet or something that we don't see that drops down more physically? Like, I don't know what the physics
it could be something like the Nibiru or something, because that comes from fourth density to third density. But that's like a ship. Yeah, The Miracle of the Sun, October 13th, 1917. Thank you for that, William. I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, so check that out, guys. That's something really interesting and probably has something to do with tonight.
So, William, do you know this more deeply?
Well, he pulled that up. Well, he'll be able to answer that, too, through chat. While we're waiting for that answer, though, I do want to say, when I talk about these things, I'm not trying to be dismissive of them when I say I've already locked in my belief. I believe that anything is possible at any time with any situation because we're creators, but
Aridif shops all the time anyway.
Yeah, of course. Also, the QAnon thing. I know that there are people who follow that here. I know people who really are excited by that. And I'm not saying that I don't see some validity in some of the things there. By any means. There's actually a lot of things that have surprised me from that whole line. Actually, Aridif talked about QAnon a little too, and what he said is that QAnon, there are people that are inside government places that want to help the people, that see the corruption and are trying to help, but also said that a lot of things that happen online, or a lot of things that are said publicly online, are misinformation or misguidances intentionally. So that's why I don't pay much attention. The one person who talks about it the most that I know is William here on his show. He talks about it. He's very in touch with the QAnon community, and he's the one who gives me all the insight and information about things that were said were going to happen and did happen. So I'm definitely not saying QAnon or this dark sun or any of the other theories, ideas are not true or worthless. I'm just saying I see patterns get recycled in our community, and I see them coming to not manifest in the way that people want them to, or the way that they're told that they're going to.
Maybe we're all at a crossroads. We're all going to shift in reality, but we're going to shift in and out maybe that whatever supports the realities that we're choosing. I mean, ultimately, we're all going to be experiencing all those realities all at once, but I'm talking about the version of us here tonight.
Right.
What are we going to snap into?
It's an individual journey and an individual collective journey, too.
Right.
And that's the thing. We choose the collective that we're connected to personally, which makes us our own.
Right now, but we're trying. God bless us, we're trying.
Yeah. And so we've got some feedback here, too. The Lady of Fatima, Our Lady of Fatima, that was the one, that was the Miracle of the Sun, October 13th. Also, Connie, I'm not sure why you're having trouble with the internet thing. Nobody else has seemed to have issues with it, and our internet's great. That's why we're doing it.
Crazy.
That's why we're doing this in the living room right now. 1 second. Yeah. We're doing this in our living room, connected to the best internet with Ethernet. So it's not coming from our side at all. It might just be your connection to YouTube or your connection to the internet that might be messing it up. And William also wants to share that it could be a collective manifestation of the deep religious beliefs as well. And actually, the Lady of Fatima could have been the sun, and that's true too, of course. Go ahead.
Okay, you know what was crazy?
Yeah.
I was trying to get my phone back from baby because she would stop playing the game. And I'm trying to like go through my history, and it didn't pop back, the history or anything. It popped back some what I thought were random videos until I looked up, and at the top it says Black Hole Sun video, and it pulls up Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun, and a bunch of like Death Cab for Cutie Black Sun, Soundgarden Black Hole Sun again, Nora Jones Black Hole Sun.
Well, that's the beautiful thing.
This is the thing. And that happens to me all the time, by the way. And of course, you've always got David Bowie, which I'm sure would pop up here. But
Kalina had been studying this on her own accord and her own excitement.
A
month ago.
And I've also been. I wonder if any of you guys also having this 3 Days of Darkness. I have been having this almost obsession with underground. It's like I want to go underground. But I've also been like intensely wanting to connect with the Earth reptilian beings underground. A lot of them, they're just not really thrilled with us or having it, it seems. I'm still working on that. But I'm just curious if any of you guys have felt any desire to like I've been searching caves, underground caverns, and just trying to figure out where they are. Where do you find a cave? And I was like, why don't we still connect with caves? We're supposedly a cave-dwelling people. What happened? So I've just had this connect, wanting to see what this is about. Even the stuff with Antarctica, I don't know what I believe of. What was the name of that place that they're talking about? What the name was they called it?
Agartha or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know, but I know there's probably some truth to some of these things. I think sometimes things are coded. You know what I mean? Like we might not have like the whole true story. Like I don't think that the Earth is hollow, but I think it's got lots of caverns and caves, and there's something going on. I feel very deeply that there's something profound going on underground. And I just wondered. I'm going to try to get to the chat. Hang on, let me get the history.
Well, and this is the thing too. I mean, we could literally look at all these things that people call conspiracy theories, and has made a revamp in the last 5 years, very heavily. There are some forms of truth that are involved in certain aspects of their understanding of it. Even Treb said as much as those who so deeply believe that your Earth is a flat disk with a dome on it, that you can experience living on an Earth that's flat with a dome on it. So, I mean, if you have the power to manifest that, you have the power to manifest just about anything.
Yeah. Like the Truman Show.
Right.
You could be on a round Earth in a dome.
So, I don't want to get too deep into it because I know Aridif's going to have a bunch to say. And I know that I'm pretty in touch with Aridif and Treb's energy enough to where I might say some of the things that they were planning to say or are going to say. So I'm just going to shut it down on my own for a minute. And we're going to get to the channel in here in just a couple minutes, guys.
And I'm going to make Lillian milk after I change her diaper, and then we'll be good to go. And if we're lucky, she will fall asleep as she's drinking her hot milk. I think she will enjoy it.
Yeah.
I might see if she'll breastfeed. We'll see. She's been biting me lately, so.
Yeah. Teething, plus her super playfulness,
she's been getting better, but I don't have as much milk as I used to. But we are stocked up on some delicious organic formula. I also wanted to say thank you for those of you who've been sending us love tonight, because some of Lily's food got stolen. You might have seen my rant on Facebook. That definitely was not meant toward you guys. I just want you to know that.
Yeah.
I just want to express my gratitude for the love that you guys have sent us and Lily, and I trust that everything is going to be fine. Right now, she's well. She's got enough for at least a couple of weeks, but I'm really good at finding stuff for her. So
well, Kalina was very pissed earlier today.
I was disappointed in humanity today. I was like, really, guys? Come on.
I've been struggling with that a bit myself. I've been struggling with it myself. I go to my local store, a large store, in one of the bigger cities around here. Kalamazoo is Hi, Pee-Pee. Kalamazoo is one of the biggest cities in like a 5-county area. It's like first or second biggest city behind Grand Rapids and or Battle Creek. And, you know, you expect in bigger cities for things to happen, but it's not such a big city that it should sell out of the items, like the whole toilet paper thing with the coronavirus. And that's a whole other topic, guys, the coronavirus.
I'm glad at least the other countries and cultures can get a big laugh at how stupid Americans can be. Sorry, yeah. I just had to say it. I'm thinking, oh, God.
Yeah.
There goes America at it again.
Yeah, good old America. But yeah, so before I go into my thing, I just want to let all you guys know, Aridif did talk about the coronavirus last night through one of the private sessions, as well as he talked about it a little bit through one of these.
The time before last, right? I think it was.
The session before last, Kalina said.
It was part 2 of. Oh, it was part 2 of the event that we had.
Okay.
Recently.
So he's already talked a little bit about it. I guess it was more in depth this time, maybe around 15 to 20 minutes on an answer.
What is it, baby?
So
I need to change your diaper.
We're going to try to get that out in the next couple days. I know time is of the essence with this, especially as Sphere is ramping up.
I'm going to start making the milk. Sorry.
Okay.
Get your water, and then I got to go back and change.
So my whole thing, guys, that I really want to get across to you guys about the coronavirus. Some of you are very, very concerned, very worried, and maybe even have a slight fear to a tremendous amount of fear. Others of you are like, no, it's just a mind screw. It's if it's real, it's not very real, and if it's real, it's not as bad as they're saying. And you've got a little bit of everything in between. No matter what belief you're looking at it from, just remember that whatever is in the best good for your growth is going to happen with you. Whatever your manifestations are allowing, do. So remember, when you manifest, when you have a great deal of fear reacts in one of two ways. It gets you angry, which can motivate great change, or it can cripple you and create great change, but in an imbalanced way. And remember that if you can't control your fear, let it turn into the type of fear that makes you safe, that makes you prepared, that makes you act on things that normally you might not, or normally you wouldn't think to act on. And if you don't have fear, that's wonderful. That's great. It's hard. You know, even me, I'm like, no, you know, I get the flu maybe once every 4, 5, 6 years, if that. Kalina's known me now for.
Don't make plans for it.
Kalina's known me for about 8 years, and I've got sick once the whole time she's known me. So it's not a very common thing.
I did sneeze accidentally directly on him.
Yeah.
Trying to hold a door open for Daryl.
Well, we were in an airplane with literally everybody having the flu on it in Los Angeles. We just got out of -12 and went into 80 degrees, ripe with germs, where we had germs that were so cold they couldn't handle staying outside for too long. So it was a whole different thing. I got sick there. A lot of that had to do with the event that we had just done and the energy we had put into it. So, I mean, the reason I'm telling you about my own sicknesses and illnesses, I don't focus on if I'm going to get sick or if I'm not going to get sick. I just focus on doing what I can do to control my environment around me and putting in excitement over fear as best as possible. It is tougher when you have kids. My son has always had issues with his immunity because of his problems with cerebral palsy. But Burglar is, she's only 8.5 months old now. So her immunity is very, even though it's developed past the 6-month period, which is considered the safe period, it's also, she's very gentle or very fragile as a human. She's still very young. So my concern, instead of fear, goes into the preparation to make sure that those two are okay. And then me and Kalina. That's why I went out to the store twice in the madness, and might even go out tonight. I found out the local Myers here in Kalamazoo, there's a nice little time span between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. So I have to set my alarm for 3 in the morning, get up, go, and make sure to get out of there before 5. That's literally the only time period. It's actually 2 to 5 that there are almost no shoppers. When I went there, the first time I went at 11 at night, and it was horrible. It was packed. I waited an hour in line after I got all the stuff I needed, and people were carrying 3 or 4 carts at a time. When I got there the next time at 3 o'clock, there were 20 people in there. I got into the aisle, only had to wait about 4 minutes for the person in front of me to check out. So little things like that, those are the things we can control. Hey, I'm going to go while they're restocking and while the store's empty, and not have to worry about dealing with a million people who are going crazy and being fearful. Because to be honest with you, other people who I know, love, or feel connection to, when I see them being fearful, I'm more easily able to give my hand and lend it in the support of lacking the fear, or trying to figure out where the fear comes from, or helping them with the fear, whatever the case is. But when it comes to strangers, there's it feels almost hopeless or helpless. Like, oh my God, I can't do nothing for these people. They don't know me. If I talk to them, they're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to just do what they want to do. So it's a little different. And I actually started having that same thing Kalina had today, like a disappointment, not in all humans, but the way that we are as a society. The news comes on, tells you some numbers, and at this time, there are only 12 confirmed cases in our whole state, and the closest one is over 100 miles away from us. Still, right now to this day, there are still less than that. Less than. I'm sure there are more people if all the things are true in the way they're reporting in the news, but still. I mean, there should not be this level of panic. And when people rush to the store and fill their carts, they're taking away from people who couldn't get out to the store. Like me and Kalina, we have a hard time getting out and about sometimes because of my son. The baby, not so bad. She's pretty easy to throw into her car seat, and we can rock and roll pretty easy. But with my son and her, it's very difficult. So we get out there and everything's gone already. And when I went to the store, if there were 3 things on the shelf, I would take 2 and leave 1, because I was like, I can't be the person that takes this last panicked energy. If some other poor mother or father comes to the store wanting baby food for their kid, at least they'll have something here for them, so that it takes away a little bit of stress in their life. And if people were considerate for each other in that way, at bare minimum, just putting yourself in their shoes for a second, it would be better. And then things like that with Kalina that happened with the baby food package that we had in the mail getting stolen. And, it's funny, like all the foods came out of it except for the foods they didn't want to give their baby. And then they threw it under the staircase like, well, at least I didn't steal it all. You should be happy for that. It's weird. People sometimes we all have our weird things, man. Anyway, guys, I'm done talking. I went on and on and on. And we have went in many directions tonight, guys. We've had a heck of a journey together. All right, I'm done, guys. I'm going to neutralize. You guys know the routine. I'll be back. I always say 5 to 7, but now it tends to be more 7 to 10 minutes because the baby and all that good stuff.
You want to say anything, Lily?
You want to say something, baby? Say hello, baby.
Say hello. I will channel for you all tonight. I channel the complete embodiment of cuteness.
Yes, she does.
I am adorable.
Oh, she almost talked. Hi, baby.
Say hi.
Give her a little tickle on her face. That's what'll make her talk.
That's right. I'm trying to hold her.
Oh,
she's being wobbly. Are you being wobbly?
yeah. Ticka, 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 ticka.
Oh, she sees the flickering light of the microphone.
Yeah, she wants to play with the microphone.
You don't want to say hi? It's okay.
Oh, Daddy loves you, baby. Oh.
She wants to. You want to touch the mic? Don't tap too hard. Watch
there
out,
you
she's
go.
wearing headphones, so.
Yeah, you guys wearing headphones. Watch out, baby's by the microphone. She's grabbing that. All right.
We'll let you tap on it later when nobody else is listening. Other than maybe some loomies.
I'm sure Kalina will do her best to watch the chat, guys. But if anyone joins in, they're checking in. Hey, where did Rob and Kalina go? If you guys could let them know we're off to neutralize, that'd be great. I want to read the other comments here real quick too before I jump off. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, the Ant People Hopi Prophecy is very interesting subjects, Chad.
Actually, if we put this on the TV, if you can help me get on the TV, that
Yeah.
easier. I can respond.
We can actually put it on the PC and put it up. Do you have email access from the Apple box or no?
Oh shoot, no, I don't.
That's fine.
That thing. Oh my god.
We can hook the PC up.
Don't get Apple Box.
Yeah, we got one of those.
You can't, like, at least that I've seen, you can't interact. Like, they don't let you see the discussion board. They limit what you can see.
Yeah, we got it as a part of our new internet when we came here. They're like, have an Apple box. So we're like, okay.
Like,
we don't have any Apple device in our house but
I'm
that.
not impressed, guys. I like to be able to see what I want to see, and I like to be able to interact with people.
Yeah.
And you can't interact in chat. No good.
Yes, and Heather, you're correct. The action of fear is to create more fear. And there are times where you can act on your fear, which usually can be a positive thing if it's done in the right way. Like when I used to get fearful about losing friendships or losing a job or losing a connection, then I would recenter, focus my energy on getting healing in those places that I needed healing. And even though it started in fear, it worked as a manifestation to go forward. Of course, you have to drop your fear before fully acting on it. Otherwise, you're just putting more fear into it. Absolutely. I'm a different type of person in my mental and energy and my emotional energy than a lot of people are with being able to short-live your anger or madness. Some people can hold on to it for months or even years. And other people are, like myself, are able to just get mad in the moment and say, okay, all right, I got that out. I did my thing. Sometimes I have to act like a baby for a little bit. No offense, Lily. Not offending your people of babies. I said sometimes when I get fearful, I act a little like a baby. And I said no offense, Lily. Anyway, guys,
She's like, you have no problem then.
Yes, fear is the teacher. Absolutely. All right, guys, I'm done talking. We're getting everything set up. I'll be back, guys, in about 7 to 10 minutes. If anyone comes in, if you guys could watch the chat, it'd be greatly appreciated, guys. Love you so much.
I can probably pull up the chat.
Good.
I won't be able to talk on it, but when she falls asleep, I'll be able to.
Well, the PC's hooked up too, so I mean, we could use that in the keyboard if you want. I know the keyboard's clunky.
It's gonna be too hard to type.
Yeah.
Baby,
I was just thinking that.
The baby in the bottle.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to do it to it then. I love you guys very much. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And remember, guys, too, that the other channeling for our Q&A webinar.
Sorry, guys.
And remember, guys, too, that the other channeling.
Also, it doesn't have a mute button, so I'm turning it down slowly.
Yeah, sorry. I had to quit talking so it didn't start creating that feedback. No, it's fine. The other channeling this month is going to be on the 30th for the Q&A webinar. Every month we're going to try to do always 15th and 30th, but the extra channeling will be announced later, and we'll try to give you guys at least a couple days heads up. We know a lot of you don't see your Patreon post in your emails or only come and check it out every couple times a month. but I know a lot of you guys really want to be here with us live. So what we suggest is going into your Patreon settings, and then by clicking your little picture on the top right side, then you go to, where is it? Manage my profile settings.
Hey Rob, can you write testing? Because I'm trying to get.
Yeah, 1 second. And then after you go to your profile settings, you go to user profile. You know what? No, I mean, that's not really it at all. Social links, security. Okay, well, security. Okay, so I guess it's not there, but it is in the settings. I've seen it and I've changed it in my own because I didn't like getting emails with the Patreon people that I was supporting at the time, because they would put out like 10 posts a day and it would clog up my email box. So you guys can do the opposite by changing it so that anytime we post anything, you guys will be notified immediately. Anyway, guys, it's midnight here and we haven't even started channeling yet. So I'm going to shut this down on my microphone and we will be back in 5 to 10 minutes. I love you guys very, very much. And I'll go ahead, Kalina, and type that in right now.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Also,
Go ahead. Microphone's still open.
I'm trying to test the chat for a second because
there you go.
It's blue versus white.
There it is.
Okay, there it is. Okay, good. Thank you.
Yep. Did it come through?
I think it did.
Yeah, that's it on the bottom. Can you access it?
It doesn't let me. It only lets me watch it.
I see.
That's the problem with the Apple. All you can do is view stuff. You can't interact.
Yeah, that's not great. All right, guys. Anyway, we're shutting her down. Love you guys. See you in 5 to 10.
See you in a bit.
Love you guys. All right, everybody, we're back, ready to rock and roll. Kalina is going to wait for the questions that she finds from what Aridif says. So I'm going to tip the mic over here so everyone can hear Aridif a little better. And I'll remind Diffie to tip the mic back. If he doesn't, too, Kalina, you can always let him know if you can see it or not. I'm not sure. Aridif, when he comes in, if he doesn't push the mic towards you when it's your turn to reflect and do the questions, you might want to remind him. I'll remind him before too, so I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. But either way, I just want to make sure everybody's able to also hear Art if baby wakes up or something.
You set up the bed and close the door, right?
Yeah, it's all set. So she's ready to go whenever you are.
Yeah, she's actually falling asleep, so she's deep enough. I'll try to.
Okay. And if not, I mean, if it's possible to wait till after, I can help you too. All right, guys. So we're arrived at the point. Neutralizing's done. Just the simple reminder.
Can you guys hear me okay if I talk at this level? Because
hold on, the microphone's not pointed at you. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me if I talk at this level? Because it's always a risk putting baby to bed.
Yeah. So if you guys can hear her.
Asleep, otherwise we would have put her to bed off before Rob neutralized, but she just now fell asleep.
Yeah, so if you guys can let her know if you can hear her or not, that'd be great. Normally I would just pop on the link, but I don't want to risk it opening.
She's digesting. Well, we hear the kitty.
Yeah, we can definitely hear kitty.
Is the bathroom open?
Yeah, it should be. Let me check. Sorry, guys. I'm going to need another minute to breathe again, to recenter myself. Yeah, it's wide open. It's fine.
Okay, because they said that it's fine.
All right, guys. So just remember today, today is the day for the collective question that you guys chose. So just remember, as you listen to this, try to have your excitement levels on. That way the information comes back and reflects back to you guys in a manner that is worthy of a, not worthy, that's a bad choice of words, a reflection that will give back to you guys the energy that you want out of it. So if you want an excitable answer, one that you can get excited about, or one that you can receive in a good energy, then have your excitement up. And I know that that's more relevant for the Q&A than it is tonight. But still, whenever you're listening to any channeling, my suggestion is always to be in a level of excitement, the highest possible, so you can receive the most excitement from it, guys. All right, guys, I'm going to take another couple breaths. Every time I have to refocus my energy in multiple places, I kind of get out of my neutralize a little. So I'm just going to revamp, reset, and do. Oh no, I'm good. I'm just gonna do it like I normally do. Take a couple drinks, take a couple small deep breaths, and rock and roll. Thank you, though. Drink of water. We're gonna rock and roll. We are going to connect to Diffie. Let's talk about our 3 days of sun, or sunless sun. All right, guys. Love you guys. Thank you too, Kalina. All your help, sweetheart. You're the best. All right, guys.
All of us. We're all awesome.
I was just supposed to say thank all of you guys too for being here. I love you guys, and we'll see you on the other side. Greetings to all Aridif, Aridif, and this is its spell. We understand that all of you desire to understand of the 3 days of your son's disappearance from the Earth Collective Consciousness, as well as the instant manifestation of humans that are disappearing within the Earth Collective Consciousness. We also understand that there are multiple insights and ideas that spring forward from these 2 ideas alone. But before diving into all of these ideas and constructs, we wish to express 2 things in which we have always expressed. The first, above and beyond all things expressed, to know, feel, or to perceive that you are loved in this moment is our own highest excitement and most important in our own perspective. Secondly, we wish to express that in this moment, our co-creation, each and every one of you is our highest excitement. Being in this moment with each and every one of you is our greatest excitement, not only through this moment of your linear time, but throughout linear time. We also wish to express greetings to all of you individually and all of you collectively, and greetings to also Kalina.
Greetings, dear sweet Aridif. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Yes, of course.
We love you very much.
Yes, not only are you loved, but we love you as well. And of course, this is our greatest excitement in co-creation. Now, we will step into this construct. First of all, Rob has prefaced this for us greatly with a great amount of information, great amount of details and understandings about the constructs in which he has received in his previous exchange. We also wish to express that we understand these ideals as a part of the collective conscious energy. Sharing this, we must also preface the construct in which 3 days of no sun within your skies occurs is an energy that is a part of the Earth Collective and has been for some great time. As all of you know, when you are asking a query and trying to find your one answer, often there are more answers than one, more parts of the entirety of the puzzle that must be first placed together and understood individually per part before being able to merge those pieces for the larger picture. So too is this moment. First of all, understanding and knowing the reasoning for a great deal of this co-creation happens within your earliest version of human beings, when your first DNA was manipulated from those that are known as the Anunnaki. The entities co-created experiences with human beings, often trying to build up the personal tweaking of their DNA in all of humans to live longer, to be more docile, to be more strength-oriented, or to be less docile when one correction was overdone in their examples that they were using, the subjects of the testing that occurred, and within this construct it allowed a great deal of those that were the earliest humans to perceive the testings, the changes, and the new iterations of your DNA coding that was most relevant and prevalent for the manipulation from the Anunnaki's desire for the human consciousness. And in the very first timed energy of the Anunnaki, and not due to the second occurrence of these entities, there were shutting down of the daily light processes in order to reboot a certain amount of the population for the benefit of shifting all of their DNA. At this time, the human body was extraordinarily used to only being awake during the very cracking of dawn and the very end of that energy in your nightfall. As day goes down into your dusk, it appears that in that energy only could a human be awake, and in total darkness the human was able to sleep. Now, blocking out what sunlight did appear and come into the Earth collective consciousness for time that was approximately 3 cycles of your revolution, 3 days in your time expression. Of course, not all humans slept the entirety of the time, but those who did were able to be worked upon by those that were Anunnaki and shifted the forms of DNA within them. Remind yourself that in that time, humans also were co-creating with multiple forms of races that are relative to the humans in your perspective. First, there still were a great deal of unaltered human beings, those that appeared to be large and upright primate forms. There were also a group of natural formed cousins that were related, known as Neanderthal. There were also multiple other forms of humanoid races that were of the descendant level and tree of evolution upon physical spaces of your own entire Earth collective consciousness, meaning it led to the co-creation of the Homo sapien with all of the other Homo genus. And in that homogeneous, for all beings that were primates and all beings that were bipedal, there were larger co-creations. Working in co-creative form with the other humanoids, there were small groups that stayed awake during the time and perceived with their own 2 eyes a deep understanding of no light occurring within the Earth collective consciousness. Now, when this occurred, this was not simply a blocking out of the light by one ship that caused one localized area to be dark. In fact, it was a much greater enhancement upon the technology that was previously utilized for the sleeping mechanism of humans, and was created a large electromagnetic field within thousands of squared miles within your measurements, and did in fact cover the sky at a very low altitude of less than 150 feet above the ground surface, and this was extraordinarily dark. If you perceive the construct and ideal in this moment, as most humans do, as shield for your windshield, one that creates a darkness, a tinting of the window to the darker shades. This idea is very similar, but was done with electromagnetic force and plasma technology. And the shield was put upwards. It also blocked out certain rays from the star and the sun in your central solar system collective consciousness that would come in, and also neutralized this when there were strong solar storms to prevent the DNA manipulations not taking hold of those humans. So it was an all-purpose tool, but in this moment used for this, and your ancestors remembered going forward into your next time of the linear pathway in the second iteration of those that are known as Anunnaki. There was also a 3 days of darkness that occurred. This was co-creation with those that were Anunnaki in second form, and also Pleaidian beings. It was a group effort to readjust the certain components of human DNA that had already been manipulated several times afterwards by other races. But in this movement, the Pleiadians and Anunnaki worked together in order to create the perfect balance in their own mind of human DNA structuring. This was a co-creation that also occurred, but instead of sleeping, as these entities were quite evolved, there was a regular schedule, and many of those humans that would not have had the capacity in the first iteration of Anunnaki, of course, had the capacity to see and perceive the 3 days without that energy of your sun visual aspects. So this and the first integration were, of course, part of that elusive energy that humans perceive, understand, and does not come to them in their own understanding. We also must express that as we perceive the 2 iterations of the Anunnaki, these are quite different energies in their co-creational pattern with humans. The first is that they worked with humans and desired them for a working force, chief labor, for lack of better terms, ones in which would take short periods of time to manipulate their forms of DNA and work with their physical bodies. But the second iteration, by a much higher formed benevolency in the council of those that made decisions for the Anunnaki race, unanimously agreed that the first manipulation of DNA led to an interference with a greater deal of the human natural evolution and growth, thus bringing back certain components of the native formed human, as well as enhancements from the Anunnaki and the energies of Pleiadians and representatives of Pleiadian consciousness. So understand first that the initial DNA that was given in first manipulation was, of course, Anunnaki. And Anunnaki are a race of beings that are partially reptilian and partially Pleiadian. So in that moment, calling back to their own family for assistance, and Pleiadians in their own desire to feel what is best for humans, what they know is best for humans, and what they perceive is best for humans, was the natural inclination for them, and also the effective measure in which to create their own narratives of positivity as it pertained to changing your DNA, and so too they did. We will hydrate and continue. The third component to this construct is natural events that did occur within your Earth Collective that also mimicked this construct, feeling the parts of their ancient ancestors' DNAs, pulling forces of either trauma or excitement during those moments. Of course, there were the normal conversations that would occur to humans if this were to occur now. Of course, it must have been misunderstood clips. Yes, it must have been a covering of the atmosphere. Yes, it must have been this and that and this, but in fact, several experiences brought a blocking of the sunlight for minutes of eclipses to large amounts of weeks with small impacts to your planetary consciousness. All of those brought the original trauma and feeling towards those human beings that existed. Some of those excited, others traumatized in negative emotional and a fearful state of the first chakra. Knowing this, and knowing previously what did occur with 3 days of not having the sun shows you a linear path. And there are dozens more of examples that could be given in this moment that expresses what parts of the experience in linear fashion formed the first ideology of your 3 days of missing the sunlight in your experience. But we will say that all of the examples that we've given to you up until this moment are, of course, not only the most important and first, but the most prevalent to our conversation this evening. Imagine yourself having one instance that either excited you greatly or made you fearful greatly, and imagine this going out in front of you, reacting to the energies as you either become more excited or more dreadful in your energy and feel that dread energy around you. And know that both of those are both natural responses to the trauma in your DNA, but also on the lower fractal conscious procedure. It is, of course, quite normal to experience a fear of something that happens in your mind, background, an automated system, therefore doing its job as it is meant to be experienced. That being expressed, we will share with you, look at the commonality of your moment now. What you have in this moment is your coronavirus energy, and all of you are also acting very similar in that co-creation. There are those of you who hold excitement for the possibilities ahead, others who hold great fear, and traumas that occur, such as viruses that have potential to kill millions of entities upon your co-created planet, is also trauma that is stored within your DNA. Most of you had at least one incarnation in times where the Black Plague of Europe originally started and killed hundreds of millions of beings in that collective version, and with that construct eliminating approximately half of the Earth population in the European continent. It gave a great deal of trauma to a great deal of those who incarnated, and a great deal of those who are starseeds who left their incarnation to join the Earth, and all desired to at least experience a lifetime in that energy once. So you have the energy of trauma held very deeply, the energy of excitement held deeply to others, and all of the energies remain going forward. So all of these ideas are placed within the construct, and similar to as Rob had expressed, once an ideal is implanted in the collective conscious, it will continue to come back into fruition and into the limelight of those that are human and can perceive. This is one example of such things. Those who first spoke of this in your year of 2037 are ones who had either heard previously or those who co-created energies, excitement towards that energy as a part of their native reaction. And with the construct that occurred, the question becomes, if it is placed in this moment, if it is placed in this timeline, what does it matter? And that question can be answered as simply as the query itself. It does not matter. If you are not greatly excited by this construct, or if you are not greatly fearful of this construct, there shall be no effect to you. Yes, of course, there are probabilities of this occurring from your now moment until your 2037, but less than 2.2% of your entire possible
iterations, timelines, and manifestations of the human collective to occur. This is similar to your bodies that are disappearing, the energies of those who instantly manifest or leave the physical body in order to ascend, or physical bodies also disappearing as they are shifting the vibration of dimensional energy. All of you are already aware you are in fourth density at this moment. All of you are aware that you have the capacity through first your multi-dimensional DNA, which holds versions of yourself from your lowest fractal of consciousness all the way to your sixth density, and internally a part of the lower density consciousness, your second density self, is the part of you in which reacts and interacts with fear, fearful trauma-related constructs, and continue to be a part of that energetic creation. The energy of those who were excited for ascension to occur, and their beliefs of ascension was one that is not compatible with what you experience in your 20 and 12 region, or what you desire to experience not coming to fruition, brought also trauma and fear. But rest assured, what we share with you can give you an insight from all possibilities. Of course, the natural construct of your sun dissipating or disappearing for the 3 days is very unlikely to occur. And of course, humans leaving their body in quite instantaneous ways, or taking their body with him in quite instantaneous ways, both have less validity in their expression as natural formed evolution. All of you are fourth density beings, meaning that there is the capacity, there is potential in order to experience yourself in the greatest way and with the greatest form of growth. Knowing this and knowing that you are part of that co-creation simply by being excited, living your life, there are not other tools that you are able to utilize to create such great rapid growth that you would be able to bypass fourth density altogether. This is outside of the majority of probabilities, in this being less so than your 3 days of light, meaning that leaving your body or leaving your body behind requires you to go from being most of the time a third density entity into fourth density at midterm or later. It has never occurred to our own knowledge in the galactic collective consciousness of entities going from fourth density to fifth at the beginning of fourth density to any part or point of the fifth density in an instantaneous fashion, unless there were fractals, multidimensional selves that did visit or go outward to those beings, or the energies and entities telepathically communicating with other races that are within that fifth density construct. Regardless of what example that we share with you, that likelihood is less than 1% in your numbers. One moment we hydrate and continue.
Sorry about the cat, guys. And Jeremy is also up and banging on the wall.
Yes, of course. Now, as you are going through this construct, you do understand the nature of your own creation, but all of you have chosen to join the collective consciousness that is in front of you in this moment, meaning that all of you have the possibility to create an experience for your own consciousness to perceive, either creating a shift for you out of this collective into the new form collective, or creating an individual personal experience for simply you and your third eye to perceive alone, and not the collective consciousness. In the collective consciousness, most humans are not even aware of the fourth density experience. They are still tied deeply to their third density. This is why the collective form is not able to simply shift into fourth density instantly at once. And although most humans believe that this is possible with small handfuls of years, one lifetime is only a percentage fractal of one part of one density's evolution. As you've seen animals going from the very basic elemental construct to the most complex, this still took over 7 billion years in evolution to create something that was not living from your perspective at the lowest realm of second density and transform into that second density consciousness. And in that co-creation, you perceive the length of time so madness, as you yourself understand and know the dimensional complexes, the energies in dimensions, densities, etc., but also knowing that evolution is an experience of growth, whether it be rapid or whether it be slow, is highly irrelevant in our own perspective. What it is your personal individual work that creates a containment system for what you do not wish to experience, or an enhancement system that works for you to benefit your growth and expressing your manifestations at hand. Now we understand all of these energies are relating to the constructs that are possibilities and timelines, etc. But we have shared with you previously in our engagement with your Patreon collective, as well as connecting with others individually or privately, that in your desire to create, you can create that tale, and putting your focus of excitement and not allowing your imbalances, fears, etc. to take you. If you desire your 3 days of lack of sun, you may have it, of course. We also would express that as you grow into your next density energy, there can be, and often are, experiences in your Earth collective that are major in your perspective, that shift the thinking, mindset, and experience of humans in small areas to humans in the larger collective consciousness. We thank you for this.
Thank you, Marta.
Yes, of course.
So as you guys could probably hear, there's a bit of a circus going on in the background, cheese and screaming. It woke Jeremy up and he's been banging on the walls, so I have to pay attention to him on the camera. So if I have to run and put the baby down, it could wake her, but I didn't get to have a proper super paying attention, but I already have been writing questions here and there as much as I could. So Aridif, if there's anything redundant or that doesn't fit in or already answered, please let me know.
Of course.
So, and I apologize for that, guys. We're working to find solutions to the madness. So there's something I want to show you guys. I'm going to get into some of the denser stuff and then move up, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yes, of course.
With the energies. I know about this topic. I can't help but to feel like that this correlates with what we're going on with now with the virus, and I'll get into that in a bit with the coronavirus to be exact, in case there's somebody listening 50 years from now that wants to know. 1 second, I gotta check the camera again because Bob's beating on the door. Not the door, the wall. He's fine. He just wants to come out because he thinks I think we're. All right, so I wanted to. So there was something I noticed on the news today. Okay, and I'm going to try to go through this part a little more briefly because I want to get into the really good stuff with with the topic. But I do feel like this is related, and I'll tell you guys why in a little bit. I'm going to play a short clip, something I caught on the news today, by the virologist Joseph Fair. And this was off of, I'm trying to see, Sunday Today. I think it's called, I can link, it's from today. Literally, that's the name of it. And I'm going to play you guys a super short clip. I want you to see if you hear a slip up, okay? I'm going to play it. It's super short.
I think we're finally on the path to getting the testing in place, but without it, we really don't know where to guide our interventions. So the only way we can flatten that curve is by identifying.
Did you guys catch that? We really don't know where to guide our intervention. He said the word invention, and I thought, so is it an invention of a virus, or some people have hypothesized? Is it an invention of something that's being covered up? There's been so many things out there that people have talked about in terms of a cover-up. Some people are talking about QAnon. I'm wanting to know, I know that you're type 1, so you don't interfere with things that people don't want to know. I understand and respect that. I was wondering what you could share with us about that, because I was thinking that's very interesting that this virologist is supposed to, who's like reading, who helps with even with the cases of Ebola and things like that. It seemed to be a slip of tongue, and his body language didn't look so great. What can you tell us about that and how that relates metaphorically to the topic at hand?
Yes, of course. We cannot touch into the energy of the entity in the depth that would require to have the answer of what his mindset or energy was, only the words that were being expressed, and his desire for you to know or understand certain formed information. But we are able to share with you the genesis of the viral energy, of course. The entities that perceive the viruses coming from the mixture of animals are incorrect in concluding that it was from animal co-creation. It was, in fact, a human creation. Within your labs that work with viruses, that work with disease, there was manipulations being done to certain viruses in order to achieve understanding scientifically of those energies. And whatever purpose for manipulation is also hidden from us, as it is not shown as a part of the collective. And the energies that were involved with the humans that co-created it allowed the energies to be forwarded out. Now, we cannot perceive the intent behind the release of the virus. We do not perceive if it is an intentional or unintentional construct. We only perceive the release of that in the region that is known as China. And of course, the energies of the virus that remained spreading forward from human to human being. The virus in that way does exist, and does exist in a certain number of human beings. In our own perspective, the numbers that are being given to your collective are higher than what is expressed in our own perspective and from what we see in the Earth collective consciousness. But still remaining is a true virus and energy, and that virus itself does have a co-creation with human beings that is, for your perspectives and taste, a bit harsh in the physical body of certain humans. Yes, of course, how it relates to the construct that we have shared in its similar form as what we have previously expressed, that yes, the energies behind your own mindset about those constructs, your beliefs about those constructs, will in fact either allow you a personal co-creation with the virus directly connecting with yourself in one form or another, whether it is through third hand and perceiving another entity that you know or care for.
Aridif, I'm sorry, we have an emergency.
Yes, one moment.
We're going to have to bring Rob. I'm sorry, guys.
One moment. We will assist Rob as well.
Okay, he's leaning right in that area where he can fall through, and I'm not strong enough to pick him up.
Yes, we will assist Rob in this.
He's getting back up. Oh. amazing. Aridif didn't used to be able to like walk too well in Rob's body. I'm sitting and watching on the camera. I'm just amazed. Aww. I wish you guys could see. He's touching Jeremy's forehead, giving him a lot of love. Sorry, are you guys able to hear me? I'm sorry, I just realized I had my face turned away from you. I'm sorry about the interruption, guys. He's too heavy for me to pick up, and there's the hospital beds. They have this kind of area where he could fall through, and he got up and he started to fall back into it. And we have tried to get multiple times ordered that has something that goes in between the bars, and we put pillows and stuff in between. Sometimes they fall out of the way. Thank you, Arda.
Yes, of course.
I'm amazed at how well you're able to move around Rob's body now. It's taking you a while to do that.
Yes, of course.
Did you
More
do
of
that?
Rob's energy came forward than our own in that moment.
Were you able to do that and open his eyes, or did you do that?
Yes,
with
of course.
shut?
With the eyes that are open. We are able to open Rob's eyes, but in this moment, as opening them, it gave him the opportunity to come forward inside the body while we remained.
That's amazing, because I wondered, were kind of like almost like, it's like you guys blended your energies or something.
Yes, of course.
That's exciting.
It is similar in conscious state of channeling as we have previously co-created.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. We will continue with this portion of the query, and we will go for approximately 10 to 15 minutes remaining.
Sure.
As we have gone forward, you understand that the nature of relationship with the construct of energy, with the virus construct, is extraordinarily similar to your 3 days and the human disappearance within, as it is a part of the co-creation of your own mindset working, your own beliefs working, and your own timelines being carved. If you desire personal intimacy with the virus, you shall have it. If you do not believe that either the virus exists, nor do you believe it is a bad virus, if you do, then you will not have personal contact nor intimacy with the virus. These beliefs are not held on large levels. They must be held at all levels. There's 100% belief that it does not exist will hold you to the energy of not having it personally affecting your experience. But the energy is 95%, allow 5% possibility for that energy to come into your experience. So, if you do believe the energy of the virus in its own co-creation, you have the possibility to allow for co-creation if the effect for you is one that opens your experience better. And in our own perspective, all experiences, whether intimacy with the virus or no intimacy with the virus, still allow a great deal of growth to occur. The collective conscious chooses all of its own co-created collective energies and will continue to choose them, whether it be a virus, whether it be 3 days of no sun, or whether it be a comet coming into your atmosphere and causing great damage. All of those things are decided by humans and humans alone. Your own personal energy experiences the version of your co-created collective timeline that you desire to have. So it is both personal and co-created collective version of energy. And all things accounting in all things show you the accountability of yourself versus the collective accountability. We thank you for this.
Thank you, Arda.
Yes, of course.
So it's interesting you brought up what you did a little earlier, because it's so similar. I was kind of writing some notes and thinking very deeply about the spiritual kind of metaphorical reason for the quarantining and like us being asked to stay home and the meaning of the word corona. So I wrote down, we are being asked now to quarantine ourselves from a virus nicknamed after a trait of the sun, corona, which is defined, at least you can even find this on Wikipedia, is photocorona, is an aura of plasma that surrounds the sun and other stars. The sun's corona extends millions of kilometers into outer space and is most easily seen during a total solar eclipse. Get that, guys, a total solar eclipse. But also, it is observable with a coronagraph. And so I continued with my thoughts. I was writing as you were talking. We're being shut in away from the sun. Like with this whole virus scare, we're being asked to stay inside. Our ways of life eclipsed. For instance, the events that are being canceled, our gatherings, we're being asked not to be so social. So we are eclipsed from our usual way of life. Perhaps we are seeking to see the corona within, the hidden light of the inner sun of ourselves. And this is what I got from the higher vantage spiritual point. I want to know your thoughts on that, if you wanted to add to it.
Yes, of course. The energies that we've shared in our own perspective are highly resonant in the energies and co-creation and creation with your self-symbolic nature of the experience itself is not lost upon any of you. If you look deeply enough for the symbol, what it means to have that experience, to have either great abundance or no abundance with your shopping situations, to be shut in or to be free with your physical space and area. We had expressed previously in the year coming forward of your 20 and 20 that in the first quarter of the year a great deal of intensified versions of the energies that were dealt with will come to its head and point, and those will be your focus, adjusting belief systems, forcing old belief systems that no longer hold service to be surfaced and scooped away, removed, and looked at deeply before doing so, and readjustment of the entire alignment of yourself as a person, and the great versions. Yes, the great versions of those energies are, for some of you, very scary, but remind yourself as you go through this, the new version of yourself is directly around the corner.
Thank you, Aridif.
Yes, of course.
So, how many more minutes are you able to stick in? Because I was wondering if anybody wanted to, I don't know if we have time. I'm going to double check to see if anybody had any thoughts.
Yes, we have time for 1 to 2 queries remaining.
I know that, I don't know if William is still here, because I'm sure he has. I don't know that just based on how you answered the first question I had about the quote I had. Oh, shoot. We got the whole miracle of Fatima. Did you talk about that event and how it correlates to the 3 days, the miracle of Fatima?
We have not in this moment, no.
Okay, so let me bring up a couple topics and then you can maybe kind of go through and pick or choose. That's one of the things, if you feel like that relates in some way. And of course, they have, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to, that whole being October 13th, there was also the miracle being given by, Divine Mother Mary, promising that on October 13th. I don't know if that really relates to the 3 days of darkness or not, but I know it was brought up earlier. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, if you can, because I'm sure that it's certainly something William was bringing up to us throughout the day, is QAnon and or the amount of arrests that are going on, a bunch of CEOs stepping down, arrests being made, possibly the heavy criminal activity from those hidden in the upper echelon of life, for lack of better words, coming to the light. That has been eclipsed coming to the light, if that makes sense. So I don't know how much, I know you don't really get involved a lot with that, so anything you can talk about these, and I'll keep an eye on the chat, if anybody knows
Yes.
any topics.
As to your question, what portion of energy do you mean as it pertains to the eclipse specifically?
With which topic? The Fatima or the arrest that
Either of those. We can share with you the
Well, what
Fatima
I mean
construct
is-
as well.
we always have the reason there's conspiracy theories, which I don't like calling them that really, is because it is stuff that is hidden. Precisely the same thing that scares people with the cult, because it's hidden, right? So the thing I'm trying to figure out how to put into words, sorry, because I know I don't want to take up all our time, but basically, if there really are arrests going on and CEOs stepping down, because I was wondering, I'm like, gosh, all these people, the CEO of Disney, Bill Gates, et cetera, just, what's being hidden? What's, it's a little unusual. And I've also noticed just it's like there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that they're eclipsed from us. Am I making sense? So I guess what I'm saying is I'm wanting to know what you can share with us about it, because there seems to be some kind of something that wants to leak information.
Yes, of
to
course.
us.
We will
The
share.
corona, if you will,
Yes, of course. We will share with you what we have shared previously with you, that there are entities that desire to create freedom for those they feel in which freedom has been suspended or impended or impinged upon within the Earth collective consciousness, and that is the majority of humans who experience Earth within their own environment. The United States specifically holds a certain form of governmental tyranny in the perspective of those humans and of those entities that work within the uprooting forms of the system as it is. And of course, part of the energy in the collective is arrests that are created. The correlations between your CEOs and large amounts of arrests that occur are not all hand in hand with the construct or idea of those who are trying to clean up the mess of other humans in their own mind. But there are some that are mostly related to the co-creation between those who are trying to work in a secretive way to help others. Now, we understand all of the energies that are involved are around the co-creation of the internet information. And as we have shared with you previously, the information that comes into the public arena is mostly not in a true fashion of what is happening within the co-creation. It is given some form of information to share, some information for those who know how to find the information. But majoritively, the information that is given is often used to misdirect those who know that there are those who are trying to work against them, and those who understand the nature of problematic energies involved with upheaval or upturning of certain secretive, power-driven entities. Knowing this, this is the story of the Earth Collective as it pertains to humans alone. There are those who try to receive power over other humans, and those who always try to free those humans from a suppressive power and form. And this is part of your dualism as human beings. As human beings, we have expressed multiple times, have great spectrums of energies that are involved with emotion and mental states. And that reflects back into your collective consciousness as those that are villains and heroes, that are negative and positive beings, those that try to suppress and those who release the suppress. This is a continuing cycle, and it will not stop in this moment, although there will be a great deal of energies that go towards releasing of tyranny, resuppression of tyranny, and strengthening of tyranny in your perspective. This construct is something that has been occurring within your Earth Collective for over 4,000 years.
It's amazing. I was thinking too earlier, we were talking about the media and the mixed truths, the whole concept of, like, maybe that's why it's really called mixed media.
Yes, of course.
You know? So.
We have time for one query remaining.
Sure. Let me check the chat room to see if anybody brought up any topic or anything. Okay. So we could go on to something else, or is the Miracle Fatima really related to tonight's topics, or like with the 3-day?
Yes, of course, it can be related partially and cannot be related in other ways, but the miracle of Fatima is a co-creation between human beings with one another and a co-creation with a group of human beings and their higher fractal consciousness. By knowing that the possibility of a miracle was at hand, by knowing that there are a great deal of other humans who will support the miracles in their occurrence, there was in fact an energy of the third eye opening. And in the third eye's opening of this collective group of humans, some that were skeptic by nature, others who are not, who were true believers that it would occur, it created the opportunity for all beings to see the power of their own manifestation. This is similar as in your 3 days lacking of light. This probability is lower than 2%, whether it be in this moment or within your year 2037. And it has been a low probability from the time that Earth has existed. In the same way, your miracle at Fatima was an energy that was lower than 9% possibility until that moment arrived. Then the possibilities and probabilities came from fruition from 9% to 100% manifestation. So in that way, it relates in symbol, but not in a direct fashion.
That kind of makes sense. It made me remember, I think it was back in 2012, when I lived in California, I was on the beach and I was sun gazing, and I saw all these triangles within triangles come down. It was like really amazing, and it was I found out later that it was basically a portal that had to do with my higher self and the connection, but also, of course, the connection with our beautiful star, the sun. So I definitely think there's something special. I do want to say something too, is I do think we should connect with our inner star and our outer star. Right now, our sun, there's something there, and try to find out what it is that we're or we have the opportunity to really dive in and find out what we're eclipsing from ourselves, about ourselves, because everything that's mirrored outside is also mirrored inside in a way. Did you want to add anything to that, Aridif, or?
Yes, we are fine without addition to this construct, as we feel not only is it resonant, but you have covered it to a great degree. We will express that we will now disconnect for this evening, but before disconnecting, we wish to express to each and every one of you that as we cover the subjects at hand to answer the queries in front of us, we have perceived all of your collective energies in ways that we have not perceived before. And as all of us are part of one another, all of us are part of the oneness that is our galactic collective consciousness, our universal collective consciousness, our physically manifested bodies and physical consciousness. We all share that experience. So as we perceive those parts of you that we have yet to perceive, we then perceive the parts of us that we have yet to perceive. So in that fashion, as you grow, so too do we grow. We congratulate you for your growth. We thank you for our growth.
Thank you so much, Aridif. We love you so much and appreciate you always coming and sharing your wisdom and love with us. And we feel the same for you. And we learned much from you. We're really glad. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'm glad that your connection with us can also grow you on your evolution as well. So that's I'm very happy to hear that.
Yes, of course, and we are grateful to all of you for assisting us in our learning as well. We wish to express to all of you, not only are you loved, but we love you as well. We bid you adieu for this evening.
Good night, Debbie.
Adieu.
Adieu.
All right, gotta go.
Really good. A little bit crazy with the kitty and with Jeremy being woken up by Kitty, but really slept through it all, so that was really great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. She started a bit here and there, but
Well, once I ground a little better,
really
I can
good.
help get her in
I can't wait
bed.
to hear it because I was so focused on trying to keep the fort down at first. But hopefully you guys are okay with my questions. I just can't help but feel like the coronavirus is somehow related to everybody's peaked interest in this 3 days without the sun.
Mm.
You know, the number 3 is also very very significant. Maybe we will have some sort of something that happens in 3s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's going to be, it's just so many different layers. You know, I tend to look at stuff and I try to look at things from a metaphorical experience or even, I'm saying the word experience, it's interesting. Sorry guys, I'm so tired. We get so little sleep. The baby, this is the earliest she slept in like 2 weeks. Hopefully it will stay that way. And she just opened her eyes.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, baby, I'm sorry, did I wake you?
Yeah. Well, she wasn't quite ready to stay asleep, I guess.
Oh,
Anyway, guys,
she might go back to sleep.
we're going to call this a night. That way we can get Lily to bed if she wants to go back. Plus, I need to ground very much. Looks like it went great, guys. I'm so happy today. Oh, baby.
Aww.
I love you guys very, very much. I really appreciate all of you guys' love, support, and thank you for being here tonight. We will announce the guest entity channeling most likely. Vote on that one if you haven't. It's the first one we did this month. The first poll we did this month. Not the poll about this subject, but about what extra channeling you want this month. And then we'll see you on the night we do that, and then we'll see you again on the 30th, guys. A 3 for this month, right? Love you guys very much. Thank you again, sweetie.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, guys, for being so patient with the kitty and sometimes it's the baby and the puppy.
The baby, the bubby, and the kitty. Love you guys so much, and we'll see you guys soon, okay? Hopefully I'll have that.
Yeah, is it going to be before the 30th? Because the 30th is going to be Q&A.
Right, it'll be before the 30th. It has to be because we got to get it done before the end of the month.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were moving the Q&A.
No. Q&A stays where it's gonna be.
Okay, good.
No.
'Cause I was telling everybody it's the 30th.
Yep, it is. So we love you guys very much. We'll see you soon, and we're gonna jump off here. Yeah, keep your eye on Patreon. Get the settings set up if you need them to go to your email, and that way, once we get a date for the next video, you'll know about it as soon as we do. So we love you guys, and talk to you soon.
Love you guys. You guys are amazing, and stay well, stay healthy.
Yes.
We love you guys, and you guys are a bunch of sunshine balls. So you got the whole curl thing down.
The best. You guys are the best. Love you guys, and we'll see you soon. Good night.
Hugs and kisses and love, guys.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.